over here while everybody's getting situated. Yeah, we're getting suppressed quite a bit. It's weird. It's strange. We started doing a bunch of shows again, and now we're getting suppressed again. Um, so it's taken a while. I don't know why this hasn't. Okay, hang on a second. Let's see here. No, it's showing we were on. Oh, here we go. People are starting to come in now. So, Lisa, Deyki, Ray. Is that right? Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah,
Here, let me put your name
yeah.
up so people know your name. Lisa Deyki, not Deyki.
Wait, Deyki. Yeah.
Is that right? Deyki? Oh,
Deyki.
Deyki. Okay, let me fix it. Let me fix the spelling. Deyki. There we go. Who's that?
This is Bob.
Bob. Uh-oh, that didn't work. What's going on, Bob? I like when we have animal souls with us on this. There he goes. Okay, we got it right. We got 16 people in the house. We got Lisa Deyki here and Bob. Hey, Bob. How's it going? Is he he's your rider on this trip?
It's
So
really
there.
lovely to be on the show.
Oh, it's great to have you here. And I was just looking at your message, your original message to me. So many, particularly women, have stepped up and said, "I want to come on. I want to tell a story." Your story had to do with some unusual things, and we can talk about some other things too. But you had some unusual things happen that you wanted to share, which are pretty interesting.
Yeah. Just when I saw that you were sharing your journey of when you had your Soulology
Mm-hmm.
festival.
Yeah.
Uh, really, I really connected with it because I had a similar experience. Not obviously, I was sort of at an event, and then all of a sudden I was in a very different place, and so yeah, I was really sort of interested, and just it was the energies of the planet at the moment are seemingly yeah just it's very unusual, isn't it, of what comes forward, especially when you're holding groups or you're for yourself. You're obviously doing festivals, but I was doing group work around England, and
Okay.
I was doing something in Wales, and all of a sudden I was transported back into an event from my past, and I could see the future. But a lot of the things I do a lot of prophecy, poetry. My art is, I guess, a visionary art, where I seem to create. I have a lot of light codes that come into the artwork. And I guess I facilitate in a shamanic. I guess some people would call me a shamanic practitioner. Some people would say a psychotherapist. It depends on who I'm working. You know what I mean, and what sort of thing I'm doing. But yeah, I really just seeing the journey for you on the mountain. Was quite profound to sort of hear that. And yourself going to this place where you weren't expecting to go. And for myself, I help a lot of people who have gone through a lot of mental health difficulties, and extreme mental health. I support people.
What is that? What is that noise? Can you,
Sorry, goodness, is that? Can you see? Yeah.
yeah,
So
you
I,
can. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I support people who are going through have been repressed through the Catholic Church and different things like that, um, and extreme mental health. And for me, I came from a place. I don't think I've ever been in the Matrix. I don't, since day one.
Really? Let's
Because
back up. Let's back up to day one. How far back do your memories go?
many lifetimes.
Did you Did you have the memories intact from the beginning, or did you remember them over time?
I think I remembered them over time, but it was very much, it was just, yeah, it felt natural to be a certain way, you know, and I guess my journey was as a teenager, I would create art, and I would get a lot of visions of the future,
Really?
of events that I was getting told by spirit guides to, and this would have been in the 90s.
Now, was this
And I was getting,
were these prophecies coming to were they coming true?
yes, I was at the World Trade Center the day before it happened. And I had lots of visions, and I've been in other places in the world. I was in, I think it was Tunisia. Yeah, there was an event, a shooting, and I was trying to warn people that it was good. You know, these type of things, and it's happened for a long time that I've sort of had these visions, whether it's coming through my art or I have these come forward. And a lot of the poetry that comes through is a lot about events and things like that, and like prophecy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it really started as a teenager, and then I traveled the world, and I was in Japan, and I'd get a lot of visions of what was going to happen. And I was in America. I lived in America for a while. I traveled Canada, came to the UK, but I seem to do a lot of land work. So I do a lot of clearing of the grids for country and also the work, you know what I mean, and have a lot of visions of this. So I really connect when I see other people doing the grid work as well. Okay.
And so now, like as this was happening to you over the years, did you have understanding parents or guardians? Did they think you were crazy?
I think I think I traveled a lot. I was, they were sort of, I grew up in Australia. So they sort of understood, but it got to a point where when I was in the UK, I went through, I think I was about 19, and I went through like what people would call a mental health, sort of thing. But for me, it was just, I suddenly started to realize what was going on, and experience angels and
Right.
lots of different things.
I think there's a lot of people in this community that have had experience such as that, and I think we know now, even if we can't fully understand it, that what they're calling a mental health episode is really something else. It really is what you're talking. It's what you're talking about. It's having to squeeze reality into this illusion.
Yes, and from my experiences, and I guess that's where it takes me to the fact of, and then I had some periods in mental health facilities, you know what I mean, and they were, quite unusual, because I do a lot of paintings and I do a lot of pictures, and I try and stand up against the NHS, and you know what I mean, and it was very unusual. And then people would come round, and I'd do art with them, and you know what I mean, it was very unusual. And so when this experience, and I'd been helping people as whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean, I've been supporting as a therapy and shamanic for some time. And then so when I had this experience again, it was completely different, but it was like I could see all the future events of the world and what was coming. So it was like spirit had put me through another initiation, but it was a different, like you were talking about with when you went into the jail. It was similar for me, but I was suddenly transported into a mental health facility.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was an intense care facility, and it was with all men, and just because it was just very unusually set up, and. You know what I mean? It's stuff in you can't really explain. Do you get what I mean? It's like, and I could see visions of things, and, you know what I mean? And since then, I've seen everything sort of in the 3D world. I've seen a lot in 4D, and what's happening with spiritual communities. I've seen a lot sort of come true.
Is this like would some of that apply to this year too?
Yes, this happened last year.
Okay.
And it happened. So this event happened, and I'd just finished a a set of sort of doing these. I help people through when COVID was on. I was going into the middle of Liverpool and doing groups, and we were doing groups, shamanic groups, and there was not much else going on, and I was going into an empty. So I was sort of very much sort of bringing things forward. Then, you know what I mean, when everyone else is sort of, and so it was quite unusual to sort of get to the end of that sort of process, and then this happened, you know what I mean? And
Right.
It wasn't mental health though. I really feel it
Right.
was a type of initiate, it was a type of, I was holding the space for the world, really, if this
Right.
makes any sense.
Right.
And seeing what was transpiring. And does this make any sense? I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's making sense. Are you on a train?
I'm in a caravan next to the ocean and next to the
Oh.
beach.
Okay.
Windy.
I thought you were in a caravan. Then I thought, well, I wonder if she's on a train. But you're getting hit by the wind. Okay.
I know.
So, like you had mentioned something. I think this might be interesting to talk about. You talked about the information that you receive, third dimension, fourth dimension, I guess fifth dimension, involving spiritual communities.
Yeah.
What kind of information are you getting?
I see that you're going to start a community. I see this. I saw this. I was in a meditation before you actually had your Soulology event, and I saw that. Yeah, this is like I see things in patterns. So as a seer, I see things, if it makes sense, in patterns of things.
Okay.
My artwork is also patterns of numbers. So I get a lot of numbers coming into the artwork. I get a lot of codes, and I'll always see the event of the picture at some point in the future, and I'll look around and it's perfectly what the picture is, if this makes any sense.
Wow.
And often, sometimes it's about other people and the pictures, you know what I mean? And then it sort of relates in that way. But I saw very much about that was a stage, because everything works in spirals, doesn't it? So when
Right.
we create, we're working with the spiral energy, and when we're working with the higher chakras, and the higher dimensions, we're working with these spirals. And I see a lot of, when I talk to people, or I see a lot of people's higher selves. So I can, you know what I mean? It's quite unusual for me because I see their parts of self all at once.
Right.
I see what's going on for them. But with that, I saw very much that this is that was a stepping stone for you creating a community where you are, and this would bring together a lot of the people, and you would actually shelter a lot of the people who you actually had come across. Say that in the event that you had as well. Does that make any sense? So
Yeah.
you would help a lot of the people, different social classes, different groups that you were connecting with on your the weekend. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's and this is the type of stuff. I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and she was telling me some 3 different things that happened to her, and they're all like so far out there, in respect to conventional wisdom or what's considered normal. And I told her, come on the show and tell these stories, because even though everybody doesn't have the same story or prophecy or gifts or clairs, there's something about talking about these things where people start to realize I'm not the only one. Did you ever go through that where you're like, oh my God, am I the only one that is like this?
I didn't feel like up until recently. I've been for a while. I've now been in a caravan for a while, but Spirit sent me to learn about plants and herbal medicine, because I was working very much with the stars, and but I've been teaching myself how to. I've been foraging food and eating a lot of forage food.
Wow.
And learning about herbs, you know what I mean, and what herbs from the land to use to help myself. And so over a period of time, I've been sort of ingesting different, learning about many different sort of plants off the land, and seaweed and stuff from the ocean.
Wow.
And sort of living self-sufficiently, but from fruit from the land. So that's been my period of time that I've been learning that stuff. But you know, it feels. But I've had other times where it's been more about the artwork, and it's been more about that, or it's been working with different guides. You know what I mean? But so for me, probably lately it's been more sort of because as I'm starting to really understand things, it's shifted and moved. You know what I mean? And especially the state, you know, of what's going on, and the, you know, and the people are sort of thinking there's going to be a split and stuff, but it's about coming back into your own body, and it's not being off in the clouds, you know. And a lot of people, there's so many different spiritual communities,
Right.
and they believe that it's going to be some sort of event when it's about really getting back into everything. And I'm also here, oh my goodness, there's a private school where I am as well, so I'm bringing sort of going back to the same school I was at when I supported teenagers, and doing sort of more foraging and bringing in sort of more the shamanic stuff and stuff like that, you know. And yeah, so it's sort of, and I'm just seeing people not embodying it as much, you know, coming back to Mother, not, you know, it's sort of, for me, it's about coming back to Mother Earth at the moment, you know what I mean? Really connecting with the land.
Yeah, I don't, you know,
Building.
yeah. God, that's crazy the way that wind's hitting your. It's wild. Somebody said there's a big storm over there.
It just started just before the, yeah.
Yeah, Julia said the weather is reflecting the general mood out in it all. Very challenging and stormy night in the UK. Many trees are down. Yeah, this whole, yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, from what I can tell, especially recently, even though we've been through, you know, June, July, August, September, and really October, were just massive, energetic, transformational energies. So many people shifting. I've seen so many people elevating, many people purging in their own way, dealing with shadow, scraping the bottom of the barrel, and now, although I don't think it's over, but that seemed like a huge energetic force, June, July, August, September, October, at least the last 3 or 4 months. What kind of intel were you getting about this period, or the period that we've just gone through, and do you know what it means?
I'm seeing that very much we've already shifted and we're already in, you know, and it's very much we're already there, you know. And I see things on different dimensions, like in real time, you know, and biolocate, and I can see other places where this makes sense, you know what I mean, when I'm working, you know, with energies as an energy worker, healer, you know. And what I see very much is that it's shifted, you know. And I notice that the energies of sort of the lower density is really moving away.
Yeah.
But then it's for us to go into it, because people are like, oh no, that person, you know, it's not. It's about for us to just be the real and be all together. Because people talk about unity consciousness, but they seem to miss out, like, populations of, do you know what I mean? It's like,
well, yeah.
Yeah. And it is about going back in again, you know what I mean? You do your spiritual work, whatever you call it, you go up to the higher chakras, but then you come back into the body, and that's when you do yourself, you know, and your support. So what I'm seeing and what I helped sort of, I've seen communities at the top of Scotland, starting in London. I'm just seeing all of this move very quickly, and I'm seeing over the next few months, I'm seeing a lot of people will be moving to this sort of energy, and they'll be more created. But also, it doesn't take away that in cities it's going to change as well. It doesn't mean that just there's going to be people in communities, you know what I mean? It's going to happen everywhere, you know what I mean? And things are shifting in communities and in corporations, you know what I mean? I see this with people I work with, and I see their company, the things changing, you know. And yeah, so I'm seeing the change everywhere, and it's at the moment people are sort of up against, it's all, if people haven't dealt with their issues, you know, it's like
I think that's all of us. I think that's all of us to some degree, right?
if we haven't dealt with anything, you know, within us, you know, our parts, we'll see war, or we'll see that, we'll see, you know what I mean? We'll see, it'll be projected to us.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's the thing that one of the many things that we're starting to realize, and I do think that you know some of what you're saying, like okay, like excuse me, like the two Earths, the Great Divide, people talk about or have talked about for years, that the Earth would split into two, and the good, smart people would go over here, and the dumb people would go over here. you know, like I don't hear a lot of that anymore. What I hear is that people are seeing the contrast of the experience. So old vibrations, be they a projection by somebody or something presented to us, is very loud, but also the new frequency of 4D or 5D, whatever you want to call it, is becoming more palpable, and people are having more confidence in it, and everything's moving so fast. I mean, I say that if you're not eating humble pie, you're missing something. Like everybody's learning something about themselves. They're learning about prejudices and biases that they didn't know they had, and certainly patterns, behavioral patterns, programming patterns that run really deep and are very, very subtle. People are starting to pick up on that. And I like what you're talking about too with these communities, because I think something's happening inside of us that's making it a natural evolution to then manifest or physicalize communities. In other words, in the physical, we create what we've come to within ourselves. So. Yeah, I mean, I can see where people would say that, obviously some people don't see things the way we see it. But as the days go by, it's just becoming obvious that no matter what we think of other people or what we think of ourselves, everybody's being held to the same level of unveiling.
Yeah, because everyone's a reflection of ourselves, isn't it? And,
Mm-hmm.
13,
Mm-hmm.
aspects of
Yeah.
whatever way you want to look at it in whatever terminology, and everything is reflected now with this energy. It's reflected in the environment, in animal, in all of it, isn't it? You know what I mean? And animals, rock, stone, plants. You know what I mean? So, we are everything, aren't we? And we see that in human beings, and we see it in nature, and it's all reflected back, and it's about us being one with it, isn't it? And really, yeah, just being with it, no matter how, things will come up, and you'll be triggered, and you just sort of
Yeah.
sit with it and work through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we're not really. As time goes on, we're being given less and less of a choice to externalize it. We have to take it into ourselves, even if it doesn't make any sense. Like somebody blatantly steps on your feet, and you're like, well, I didn't do anything, but they stepped on your feet. That was you stepping on your feet. I mean, like you're saying, everything that's being presented to you is a reflection of what's inside of you, but it's past the cliches now. So if you're seeing somebody really have outbursts around you, we quickly want to say, I'm putting up a boundary, stay away from me, get back. You know what I mean? But it's still us at some level. It may not be, there's still something there to be said. And I see some of these things too, like you're talking about, because we get downloads, and as the years have gone by and the months have gone by, they come in so fast and so furious and so huge. And you hear a lot of people say, I don't know what the hell I just downloaded. But I start to see these experiences that we have in our waking human life, which is the same thing. It's presenting code to us or trying to. It's almost like a download. I don't have to understand it, but I'm going to take the way I feel inside myself. I'm going to take the people out of the scenario, or whatever it is, the cops or the bank or whatever might be the antagonist, seeming antagonist. But just to sit with the feeling. Oh, how does that make me feel? Instead of going, why did they do that? And it's like I don't know, what I'm trying to say is that it's like just knowing the download came in and knowing you received the code, you don't have to understand everything. So when it happens in the physical experience, I'm kind of taking the same approach and removing the people and just go with the feeling. Well, this happened. This is how I feel, and just sit with it, and not really knowing or having to know what the hell it all means, because this is becoming to the human being a complicated situation, but to the highest aspect that's coming into us, that's embodying within us, it's not complicated. It doesn't have the same necessity for explanation. You know what I mean? There's something about understanding something at the human level that feeds the ego. Oh, I'm smart. I get that. You know what I mean? So it's getting pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Do you have...
It's having that disconcernment, isn't it, with it? You know what I mean? Because it is so, especially if you're getting downloads of, no matter, depending on how you see, whether you see stuff in the environment or everyone downloads differently, don't they? And connect to Great Spirit. And it's sort of a process, and it's having disconcernment with the information coming in as well, I think, in some ways, and really just centering and being in that center of the medicine wheel set. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then, and as everything integrates, like non-physical and physical, and all the different polarities, I just feel like that the physical experience is becoming like a dimensional experience, and the same rules apply. Like there was different rules in the old Earth. Things were distorted, they didn't make sense, they were unfair, etc., etc., etc. But now, as we're embodying, everything, every polarity, to me, our experience is becoming more of a dimensional or lucid dream type of experience, which I would consider one and the same. So I just equate, when we go into dimension, or we go into dream state, meditation even, there's a certain set of rules. And it all starts with what's presented to me, right? Like it might be... I'm trying to think of the last one I had. Oh, I had one 2 nights ago. And a tree morphed or shape-shifted into a goddess or the goddess. And then I have this whole experience. Now, so I take all that into myself. I think it's pretty easy to do that when we have a dimensional experience. But the difference being that now, if I go walk out the door... this happened to me last week. I went to the grocery store to get a sandwich. I'm sitting in the parking lot, and this very well dressed older lady walked up to the car and asked me for a ride to the library. So I give her a ride to the library, and I'm having this whole sensory experience with her. End up doing a 3-minute meditation when I drop her off, and then life goes on. But that interaction involved apparently a human being and their multidimensionality, just like the tree shape shifted. Both presented me with something, and I had to sit with it because I think they have the same value. Like even right now, I'm getting downloaded right now, looking at you, listening to you. I'm getting the same type of intel that you were talking about earlier. Like I can see some of your multidimensionality. I can see your gypsy lineage, elementals, galactics. I mean, all this stuff is coming on board, and I think that even if we want to get down into the old human stuff, we're not going to be allowed to. We won't have a choice. How do you ignore multidimensionality in the physical form? Because that's what's happening. Do you do, somebody asked if you do online readings.
I work Zoom. I work with people in Europe, the world, like different places in the world, and I work with people in England. I work out of Liverpool, and I'm starting to work out of where I am in the Lake District. I've had
So
to come to the Lake.
you're in Liverpool. You're in Liverpool?
Sorry?
You're in Liverpool?
I was in Liverpool.
Okay.
Now I'm in the Lake District.
Okay.
So but I see people over Zoom and
Right. Somebody had asked that. Yeah, and whoever asks, you can click her name and send her a message. It'll be on the. It'll be tagged on the video. And as far as like you seem to have this prophecy thing, right? And are you picking up what are you picking up now, as we head into November, December, and into 2023? Are you feeling anything insofar as the collective?
I see things on depending on where you are in your thinking. There's many different timelines because everything's happening at once. So I guess they call it quantum or something. So everything's happening at once. So you can't say there's just one thing going on because what I see things through technology as well. So I can see the different levels of people's energy through technology, which is really quite unusual sometimes, on different things. But I see it depends on your perception. It's phenomenology. It depends on how you look at things. I mean, there will be a timeline where, we're already there and things are already, you know what I mean? And things, but it all depends on the work you've done within and how you're seeing your world, you know what I mean? Because everything is happening all at once. So, so some people will be seeing, as I said earlier, some people will be seeing events, say anger is still in the body. They'll see war, you know what I mean? Or something, you know what I mean? So in the outside. So I see that it's all up to the person, isn't it? For what you see, you know what I mean? And it's made me think about prophecy as well, because prophecy is often third eye before you go to the higher, because you've got the star chakra and you've got the other chakras above, haven't you? So it made me think about prophecy, and it was a period of different times that I get this type of writing, you know what I mean? Or there was times I did a lot of divination for people, and I probably wouldn't do that so much. I get things in sessions, but you know what I mean? It's very much for the person to work through that as well. So it's just shifted and changed. So it's a lot about creativity. I help people bring out their inner child through art. My background is sort of also helping people create artwork and express their emotions, and music as well.
Oh wow!
And myself as well. I like creating music, whether it's through soundings, or whether it's through guitar or.
Oh yeah.
This is important. If you're in the creativity flow, you aren't thinking, are you? You know what I mean? You can go through it. You can just be in that flow. You know what I mean? And you connect with the people of the same vibration, and So.
Yeah, I think obviously creativity is huge. Creativity and collaboration is huge, and I felt for a long time that creativity. It's not like you don't have to do shadow work, but by being creative, it does somehow or another create some I guess like a more free flow in our energy channels. It has to do some healing. There's no question, because I've participated in it too many times by myself and with other people. But it just seems like creativity is becoming so important. Creativity and collaboration, sharing, is becoming so important that in its own way, which is, let's say, non-traditional, it's instructing people and helping people to come into alignment and to open code within themselves when we do it. Do you want to give us a little taste of what you do? I'd love to hear some of your music, or poetry, or whatever.
Yeah, I'll share some soundings if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
Some understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. She's in the middle of a storm, sitting on a beach. You see her caravan is rocking back and forth. Yeah. Oh, this is cool. Here, let me put you on.
Had a lot of lightning as well. It's been quite a storm.
Wow. That was very unique, very original too. And it seems like it's, you know, multi universally linguistic, meaning it's not one species language. How does it feel to you?
It feels all me, over time I've obviously worked with all my guides over
Right.
time and connected with the galactics and
Right.
not galactic heritage, but then and animals. I connect a lot with animals and healing of animals and
Yeah.
shape shifting into animals as you do, Todd, as well. I
Mhm.
see this,
Wow.
and you do a lot more than what you actually say, in here. uh,
True.
you're very shamanic, aren't you? You know what I mean, and work a lot with these energies um, and so, but I realize sort of coming more into the body, it's all sort of part of me. Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
it's all.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And then I think that, um, when it comes to the soul lineage, we do have certain experiences, families, planets, whatever that we've experienced. And although we have access to everything, our personal experience is really part of our unique makeup. Each one has a soul signature. So, like with you, I could just pick up all kinds of stuff. Everything that you mentioned, and it's also I like anything that's to me, and the more original and unique it is, to me, typically, it feels to me. I'm not saying it's an absolute truth, but it feels to me there's more embodiment. As the expression comes spontaneously, it's a transmission, a channeling. It doesn't have to just be words or toning or whatever. It can be anything and everything. But yeah, the more unique it is when you hear someone that's go, wow, I've not heard anything like this. To me, that tends to feel like embodiment to me, because it is me. It is the person, right? I mean, it's not. I mean, everything's coming through us, but there's a part of us where our soul signature, we can add our little spin to it, right? Yeah.
And when you speak of like embodying things, I wanted to talk about Kundalini and the
Mm-hmm.
Kundalini energy. Is that, I mean, Kundalini is different to awakening, isn't it? And being on the ascension path. But with Kundalini, you've got the snake, haven't you? And I want to talk about a little about when we go through the emotional purging. There is a point of we're looking at the new human. I think you've obviously
Mm-hmm.
um, have Mary Rodwell on the show, don't you?
Right.
And I've sort of read a lot of the things, but and it was very interesting because it was similar to when I was working with a lot of ADHD children, and it was coming through. But also the upgrading of the body, you know what I mean, and our DNA. What I'm experiencing is extreme changes in the body, you know what I mean, and I will feel this energy going through meridian patterns of meridians through the body, you know what I mean, and it is changing in a physical way as
Right.
well, you know what I mean? And this is how we are, is I think is happening to humans, people or whatever, is the bodies are changing, you know what I mean, and skulls are changing, you know what I mean, you know the body is actually changing, diet, obviously people's diet over the spiritual path, you'll go through a patch of going vegan, or and then people sometimes go back to meat, or you know what I mean, and then realize, oh my god, it's all a big joke, you don't have to restrict it, you know what I mean, and there's all different ways,
Mm-hmm.
of people's paths. But what for me is, and I've come across other people, I can feel the energy going through all the channels in my body, you know what I mean, and creating new pathways. And this is probably happening to everybody, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I guess I'm sort of, oh my goodness, I'm feeling it happen, you know what I mean, and I just wanted to bring that forward. It seemed,
Yeah.
and
And do
that
you
it
and
can be.
I mean, you're right, but and a lot of people, I can say, like, I'm 60 years old and I shouldn't be in the shape I'm in. Like, something is happening, and there are a lot of different things happening within our body that we do notice. Do you think that we'll see like a dramatic transformation of the bodies It's like over the next 10 years. I mean, like, does it feel like it's something that we're actually going to see in each other and ourselves?
Well, I think this is something, age reversal is happening anyway when you turn on your gifts, you know what I mean? When you go past the third eye, isn't it? And you start more your galactic selves. So it's already happening, you know what I mean? And I guess what I'm talking about is on more of a bigger scale. I think it's going to happen with people. And I do
Right.
feel this, yes, I do. You know, some people talk of walk-ins, don't they?
Right.
You know, and there's all different things for that. It's maybe just connecting with your higher self, you know, or, you know, but there is physical changes I
Right.
do believe will come with you know, and being able to shapeshift, you know, and shift, and as I said, skulls changing, bodies actually changing, you know what I mean, and shape-shifting becoming a commonplace thing, or being able to shift through energies or become very you know, and this will be with the animal plant kingdom as well, you know what I mean, it'll be with the plant kingdom, it'll be with the animal, you know, it'll be across the board because we're all part of
Right.
it, aren't we?
Right.
And
Yeah,
it
I agree
will
with that.
shift, if that makes sense.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. It's like when I go by the mountains now and I look at the mountains, I see more faces than I've ever seen before. Or I'll see more, you know, more patterns or whatever. And I told you, that tree the other night, it turned into the face of the goddess, a goddess, my goddess, me. I don't know what the hell it was, but it's not there today. And I looked last night. I saw that thing and I communicated with it and I merged with it. Yeah, so the properties that are applying to us, what you're saying is it's applying to everyone, everything, every mountain, every stream, every animal, right? Every human being. And yeah, it's quite amazing. It really is. So, how long have you been traveling in the caravan?
I've been here for about, I'm sort of here for a while. I've been here for about 6 months, learning the land and, yeah, and sort of connecting with the sacred sites. There's a lovely sacred site. There's a stone circle close by.
Wow.
There's a mountain in the UK just close by as well. And there's a lot of connection to the land here. And, yeah.
I'm always curious with people like you. Like, what's the craziest thing that you've ever experienced? And have you ever experienced anything that scared you? Because obviously you're very connected in a multidimensional way.
Probably the last initiation I had, the 9 levels of the underworld, it was pretty scary. You know, like I guess I can relate it to as someone. I guess I work as a psychoconn, helping people pass over, whether it's transitioning in this life or whether it's transitioning in other ways. You know,
Mm-hmm.
today's I guess a day for that, isn't it? Really, you know, the day of the dead. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, probably experiencing sort of, the real sort of, just death, isn't it? You know, going through your death experience.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I've had in the past, I've actually died in real time. You know, I died and came back, but that was different. That was, you know, and I had experiences there, and that's when my life, you know, things started to, I think, a near-death experience sort of.
Yeah.
But I've had other experiences since then that have, you know, are all different times in my life that have been very much actually, you know, and I got with the recent initiation, I actually saw the state of all the different dimensions and how the hell realms are. But the hell realms are on, it's not even a thing called hell, is it? But it's very much earth, isn't it? And people's experiences. And so I saw it down to homeless people, and I sort of lost everything. You know what I mean? And then you come up again from that experience. You know, you lose everything. You let go of everything. You know, every single thing. And then you sort of start to go up again. You know what I mean? So I have to say that was pretty the wildest experience. But I think that's everyone's, isn't it? When you go through this sort
Yeah, and I like your answer because you're talking about at the very human level, the ego deaths, identity deaths, and then this part about um, losing everything. Like many people, have been through that. Like you said, I mean, I went through it for 2 years living on the street when I first woke up, and it feels very much the same to me energetically now. It feels to me like things are being taken from people, uh, things that we're attached to, things that we think we can't live without. I mean, to me, it feels the same way it did 10 years ago. Like for the first time in probably 3 or 4 years, uh, I'm I'm just like this close to being where I was 10 years ago. But it's a different kind of thing. It's like 10 years ago, it was initiation. This time it has a little bit of an initiation feel to it, but it feels like it's happening to everybody at the same time. Like, I
It's
don't know
like a
what.
freedom. The
Yeah,
freedom is that.
yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, everything's being stripped away from us so we can find ourselves to the deepest degree. It feels like it's happening to everyone right now. Like, it's everywhere I look, I see people, you know, and very similar to at least the people that I interact with, they're not freaking out. I'm not freaking out. I'm not freaking out that, I'm on bare bones and everything's kind of like being removed. I'm not freaking out about it. There's something like the soul is driving now, and even though it's uncomfortable to the human, you can still feel the, like the, what am I trying to say? Just the symmetry of it. Like everything's unfolding for us. And so in that unfoldment, there's a lot of human things that are taking a beating, being removed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, it's very much you have to be in the now moment, don't you? Because if you're anywhere else, it's you don't plan things. For me, I don't really try to not to plan. You know what I mean? And very much in the
You
now,
can't.
and I let the plants talk to me, like say what I'm going to eat that day. You know what I mean? I don't. I just forage from the land, and a certain plant, or you have this today. You know what I mean? And so everything's new each day, in a way, you know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And even when it comes to, just trying to be in that flow, I guess.
So you're developing a really strong connection with many things, but I mean one in particular is the plants, and so you're basically cohabitating with the plants, right? I mean you're working with them every day. They're feeding you, treating you, and informing you. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm connecting. I seem to be coming out of sort of that. Well, I'm still with it, but it seems to be over the last 6 months. It's been very much like that.
Right.
Yeah, and it's still sort of, yeah. I mean, it's still going on, but I seem to be moving back into my art again, and I feel that coming forward as well as the crafts. So it seems to be this. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, moving back into sort of the creativity.
Do you do you spend all of your time alone? A lot of people do these days, but I mean, do you spend all your time alone, or do you interact with people?
I interact with people. I spend time with family, and I through this period I've spent a lot of time alone. I think this is, new. Before that I was I was around people all the time, and I was holding groups, and it was so busy, and you know what I mean. And then I went through this period of sort of more this sort of, as the spiral is, you have to process also what's going on with that spiral of what's going on. I see it as you've got your individual, it's micro to macro, isn't it? So you're working with yourself, your own energy, community, then it goes wider, the world, and galactic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I see this pattern. So then I'll come back into me, but I see the patterns of it, and then I'll connect with people who are, if that makes sense, you know what I mean, who are in that spiral, but so I just see this micro to macro. So no, I don't think anything's static. I don't think anything's permanent.
Mm-hmm.
It's all permanent.
Right, right.
Life is. So you say about spending. Yeah, there's sometimes I do. You know what I mean? And I'm connecting with the plants, but you never feel it. When you're connecting with Mother Earth, you're never really alone anyway, are you? Because you're connecting with all the multidimensional energies of all the people and plants, and if this makes any sense.
Do
But
you?
there's
Yeah.
time you need to be more connected with the different realms. So when I'm working, say, with the plants, I can't be doing group. Do you know what I mean? Or if I'm
Mm-hmm.
connecting with the animals,
Mm-hmm.
you're sort of you're in a different energy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Than other energies, if that
No.
makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Do you find with your family and or with people, like if you go into town or whatever, over these last few months this year, are you seeing a difference in people? Are you seeing any type of apparent expanded awareness in people? Are they asking questions? Are they questioning the government? Or, you know what I mean?
It depends what dimension you're looking at. Obviously, there's people who aren't awake to things, and then on different layers they are. And some people are just naturally, like even, you know, I think it's a process, and I think it's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are definitely all coming together, and I mean, there would have been a time where I was in, and I think a lot of us were a thought of, oh my God, it's that type of stuff. But now it seems to be that there's a beauty in everything, and everyone seems to be. These things are happening, like for instance, things to society is happening to make people understand whether, or is there something going on within my body? I need to be aware of that. I need to not fear that. Or there's something going on outside. So all these things that are presenting are for people to explore and transmute, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody gets out alive. That's for sure. Did you want to do something else before we get out of here? Do you want to do another song? That was really cool. Or a poem, or even show some of your art, whatever you'd like to do.
Um, I might show some art.
Hmm.
Oh, this one behind me.
The one right behind you? That's pretty wild. That looks like
This
oh
one.
yeah.
Oh, goodness. There's one here.
Those are big
Um,
pieces. Well, that's
I just get a
interesting.
lot of coding.
Yeah,
Codes in. There's another.
that's a very unique style too. You feel like
My goodness.
these you feel like these are carrying code for people when they observe them, right?
I do feel they're carrying code, yeah. And they seem to come through the same similar time I do a lot of writing.
Mm.
So yeah, the more galactic codes in a lot of them. So and the different types of downloads and different. And as I said, I get downloads of different events and on different timelines. So, like for instance, this one. I saw sort of what was transpiring in the world in different parts of the world. So um, I was seeing, oh my goodness, I was seeing a lot going on with parts of Europe. So I seem to get lots of downloads of, so I believe it's bringing energy to the grid lines and to the crystalline grids and,
Right.
and, and doing good work. But I'm doing it in a bit of a different way through artwork. And also I write I'm writing children's books, and it's a
Wow.
similar type of thing. It's about stone circles, but it's bringing in the energy of have the stone circles and stuff like that, and just in a different way, but through artwork and codes.
Wow. Do you ever get like some of us? Do you ever get like, wow, man, I'm tired of this?
What? Yeah, I mean, it's you know, what I notice is, as you're saying, with you have things that, you know, come up, don't you? You work on the personal and you work through that, and then you're also shifting the collective energies as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it sure. Yeah. It sure
and
feels
so,
like. Yeah. Go ahead. There's a lag. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. So it's but it's a bigger mission, isn't it? We're here to, you know, sort of create. We're here to create a new worlds and a new way of doing things, and I guess there's a type of coming together, and all of us are on a similar sort of path, and to offer this, and some of us are sort of as more in solitude at different times. Some of us are sort of coming together already in the communities, but we're all on a similar sort of vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we got to remember. You know, that to me makes it much easier not to take things personal. Everybody's been subjected to the same thing. You know, everybody's let's just say imbalanced actions have been the result of the same programming. So there's no one to forgive. You know what I mean? It's like nobody really did anything wrong, and I think, you know, it feels like that people are starting to align with that. It's not even like having to be taught anything. It just seems to be falling away. Like all the old rhythms seem to be falling away on the spiral that you talk about. And you're just a higher level with less distortion, you know. You could say it's going from a distorted polarity to an organic polarity, maybe, that's being, you know, that you can actually integrate polarities or understand 0 point, where when in a distorted field it's very difficult because there's so much illusion and deception, you know. Yeah. Very cool. I'm glad you came in. I'm really glad you came in. We'll have to get together again, you know, maybe the first part of next year. Yeah. Several people asked how to get a hold of you if you're on Instagram. I'm going to tag her on the video, so if you go to my page, you click that, you'll go to her page, because she does have a Facebook page. Are you on Instagram?
No, I'm not on a lot of social media.
Yeah.
Facebook I'm on. There's periods of time I don't really go on. A lot of people sort of word of mouth. You know what I mean? I sort of work like that. But I do have a Facebook, and yeah, so, and I'm thinking, yeah, of sort of maybe trying different social medias, but not sure.
Well,
but yeah, Facebook.
I don't do Instagram. I mean, one of our people does the Instagram for us, but I haven't, or Twitter or anything like that. I don't do any of that. But yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing yourself with us. I mean, that was very cool. She is right outside of Liverpool right now in a caravan on a beach, getting knocked over by wind. I thought you were on a train, man. That thing was going whang, whang. But yeah. Well, we're going to be coming on. We don't have any more Soul Speaks 5Ds today. For some reason, only one lined up today. But we are going to be coming back on with some other programming, and maybe we'll have an open mic. But yeah, big love to you, sister. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure seeing you again. And we'll do it again if you're up to it, if you want to. Okay?